Welcome, fellow bookworms, to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and today we are going to be playing Once Upon a Honey TBR Hunny Jar. This will be around 24, which is going to be for March. It's actually still January when I'm filming this, so I always film about a month in ahead. That just works best for me. But I couldn't wait until the beginning of February to film this video. I just had the urge to do it today. I recently hauled several books that I am excited for. I found them used, and just books that I've been really interested in. And so I have kind of a fresh batch of books, and I'm just excited. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and film it today. There's no reason why I need to wait or anything like that. I got my coffee because it is super cold today, so I'm going to be sipping on this throughout. This is actually an amaretto coffee. My gas station near me had it for a couple weeks, and it was so good. Like, I was literally just driving to the gas station just to get this coffee. Really good. I ended up ordering some, which thank goodness I did, because they no longer have it at the gas station. But I don't know where amaretto coffee has been all my life. I'm not a huge coffee drinker, but I've been drinking it on the regular since I found the amaretto coffee. So good. I'm still working on the ratio here at home. Like, the gas station, I had it down pat. But here at home, like, I'm still kind of working on the ratio. So like today it's a little too sweet, but still so good. I love the amaretto flavoring in here. So I'll be sipping on this throughout. And yeah, I'm just so excited to see what I can pull for March. I think next month I'm probably going to be adding in the honey jar prompts, adding back in the ones that I pulled out last year. Bookworms always go in, but character prompts typically get pulled out once I fulfill it. And we're kind of getting down where it's a lot of bookworms I've been pulling. So I think I'm going to be adding back in those prompts from last year, but not until April's, will I do that. So this one will still kind of be working with bare bones, but I'm excited. I got my Genre-a-thon picked out, my book picked out already, but I'll talk about that at the end. If you don't know, Genre-a-thon is my readathon that I put on all year long. It's just different prompts each month focusing on different genres, and not like the more popular genres, like trying to get outside my comfort zone a little bit. And so I already have that picked out. I'm going to try to get it on to my game. I do have my priority book list, which I'm also going to be trying to get on to my game, at least one. If I don't get any on, I will pull one, and that will be an extra read. And then we also have our series owl, and so I haven't printed the papers off, so these are still from like last month, the ones I just wrote. And so I'm going to be pulling two of these. I kind of got this idea from Chris at Chris's Corner. They do this where they pull like 3 series each month. And that way they can continue to work on series. And so I have some priority series as well, and so I put those priority series in here. And so let's go ahead and start there, and that way we kind of know what we're working with, and if we can add them to our game, we will. Let's go down to this one. Let's see what it is here. And so this one, okay, perfect. We have the Diviners, which I think I might start this series over and read the Diviners again and then jump into the rest. I just got the rest of them, so that way I could just go all the way through it. So that's the first series we're going to be working with, and we'll kind of see. And then the next one will be this one. Let's see what it is. I can open it. Awesome. Okay, so this one is the Gold Seer trilogy. I don't know if I actually showed you the Diviners or not. Like I said, I will print these off eventually. So the Gold Seer trilogy, I'll talk more about the book later, but it's a trilogy I started and read the first one and absolutely loved it. And the second book was on my TBR for a while because I was going to use it for one of the buzzwords. I just never ended up getting to it, which I don't know why, because I love the first one so much. And I have since had a couple people, that I've seen that have been spouting the whole series praises, and so I'm like, I need to finish that this year. And so, yeah, I'll be reading book 2 in this one. Like I said, the Diviners, I may start with the Diviners, or I may just jump into number 2. We'll kind of see how the game goes. Both of these have more to the series, so they are going to be going right back into the jar for future months, so I can continue on. And so yeah, let me just go ahead and throw these back in, kind of mix them up a little bit. And that is, I think that's all for like housekeeping type stuff. So I just need to get my game board set up, and then I will be right back with you guys. All right, we are all set up. We do still have one reward token, so this allows us to forego a Hunny Jar prompt. I also decided I might use this if there's like a book that I just don't get to. I can use it, to kind of cancel out that book, things like that. But I do still have this right now to use if I want to forego a Hunny Jar prompt. The genres colors aren't that important this year, but I do still try to fulfill them. But I'm more focused on the Hunny Jar prompts. But if we land on a blue, I will try to get a sci-fi. Yellow is historical, green is fantasy, red is romance, orange is mystery, thriller, horror. Purple is any genre, and we do not have to pull a Hunny Jar prompt. It's literally just a free pick. And then black, if we land on black, we move forward 3 spaces, use that genre, and we also pull 2 Hunny Jar prompts. As far as characters, we did get Eeyore last time, so if we roll Eeyore again, we can choose to re-roll. Otherwise, if we roll a 1 is Christopher Robin, which is a coming age or middle grade. 2 is Pooh Bear, which is a classic or comfort read. 3 is Piglet, which is an auto by author or a reread. 4 is Rabbit, which is a free choice. 5 is Owl, which is a memoir, biography, or any type of nonfiction. 6 is Tigger, which is lighthearted or fast-paced. 7 is Eeyore, which is literary or dystopian. And number 8 is Kinga-Roo, which is a manga, graphic novel, or children's book. So let's go ahead and see which character we're going to get first. 8. I'm actually going to go ahead and roll again. I know we didn't get Kinga and Roo this time, but we've gotten them several times. And I want to get some different characters, so. Okay, so this time we're going to get Christopher Robin. And so for that one, again, it's a coming of age or middle grade. So let me go ahead and clear the board, get Christopher Robin all set up, and we will get started. All right, and just another reminder, we move 2 spaces for each color other than purple or black. So let's see what our first pull is going to be. We'll go with this one. Okay, we're starting with a red, which is 1 and then 2. So you need to try to get a romance that fulfills the prompt of, let's do this one. Okay, so my husband needs to pick a romance. All right. Let's go ahead and do this one. Okay, perfect. Purple. So we just move 1, and again, we don't pick a Hunny Jar prompt for that. It is just a free pick. So I don't know why I put that down, because we're going to go ahead and pull the next one. Let's go ahead and do this one. Okay, so we have an orange, which is 1 and 2. And so that's a mystery, thriller, or horror that fulfills the prompt of, and do this one. Okay, so it needs to have a found family aspect. All right, next, let's see here. Let's do this one. Okay, another red. I'm gonna go 1 and 2, which has us cross the bridge. So that is actually a special square, so it does not need to try to be a romance. It can be anything. It just needs to fulfill the prompt of, let's do this one. Okay, another 101 Dalmatians, black and white. All right, we're moving right along. I love to see it. Let's go ahead and do this one. Okay, another orange. So this, go 1 and 2. And this is a special square, but it says rabbit to next read, so that doesn't apply to Christopher Robin, so it doesn't count. So another mystery, thriller, or horror that fulfills the prompt of, let's go ahead and do this one. Okay. So this is Emperor's New Groove, so it needs to have a comedy. So we'll see how that works with those genres. Alright, let's see here. Let's do this one. Another orange. We're loving the oranges today. So 1, and that gets us right near the end here. So another mystery, thriller, or horror that fulfills the prompt of this one. Okay, page number chosen by dice. All right, if we get a black, a red, or a blue, we're done. Anything else just goes off to the side. So let's go ahead and pull this one. Okay, yellow. And this one, green. Blue. Okay, so that gets us to the North Pole. So again, it does not need to be a sci-fi. It can be anything. It just needs to fulfill the prompt of, let's do this one. Okay, a Zodiac challenge. And so I will basically roll for one of the Zodiacs, and that has to be combined. Do something with the book. So, and then we also do have the 2 unusable discs. So I will need to find a book that deals with the number 2 in some way. And so I'm going to go ahead and get my books chosen, and then I will be right back to let you know what I picked. All right. I have my books picked out. And I think I have a really good stack. I'm pretty happy with what I got. So let's go ahead and start. We got Christopher Robin. We did roll Kanga and Rue initially, and I did not get them last month, but I've gotten them several times. So I went ahead and re-roll. I want to mix the characters up. And so then we rolled a Christopher Robin, which is a coming of age or a middle grade book. And for this, I still need to read the last book in the Harry Potter series, and that's Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. I was trying to finish up the series last year and didn't quite do it. I finished the Half-Blood Prince in January, and I know I won't be able to get to this one in February. I have way too many books I already need to read for February. They just keep kind of piling on. And so when I had this prompt, I was looking for something to fill, and I was like, I have the perfect book. I need to finish the series. Technically, it's a middle grade series. It's definitely coming of age. And so, yeah, basically, if you live under a rock, Harry Potter is a boy who lived. There was a dark wizard who tried to kill him, and he ended up living. And it's kind of his adventures at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and the kind of ongoings of that connection with this dark wizard as well. And so this is the final book in the series, and I'm excited to reread this. I noticed with reading the Half-Blood Prince, like every time a book would come out, I would reread the previous books. So I reread the beginning books a lot, but the Half-Blood Prince and this one, I haven't reread very often, if at all. And so I didn't quite have that nostalgic factor with the Half-Blood Prince. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes for me as well. Excuse me, but yeah, that's the first book on the list. Then we got a red, which is, of course, a romance. And for this one, it was Hansel and Gretel. And this was to be a husband pick because my husband really, really likes sweets. And so that's why with Hansel and Gretel, since, you know, they find that house of the witch that's made of sweets, that's why I did a husband pick. So I gave him 4 options. I gave him Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. What is it called? Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score, which is the second in a series. The Ashes and the... No. That's the other one. What is it called? I put it on something. The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. And then the one he picked was Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. So this is a dark romance. Definitely, if you're interested in this, check trigger warnings. But after reading the cat and mouse duet, I didn't love the second one in that duet because I think it was more romanticizing this toxic relationship, but I really enjoyed this author's writing, and so I wanted to give this one a try. And it says, "Who am I? I've forgotten the answer to that question long ago. Ever since I ran from that house, so desperate to escape, I left with only the clothes on my back and socks on my feet. After that day, I've only ever walked in stolen shoes. Could I be a girl who is searching for the meaning of life in faceless men? They were all so forgettable until he came along. He took me under a waterfall and made me forget my name, and in return, I took his instead. Enzo Vitali. An enigmatic man that will only ever love the deep sea, or rather the predators that inhabit it. Turns out he's not so different than the monsters he feeds. He lured me onto his boat like a fish in the ocean, seeking vengeance for my crime. Had I realized his intentions and that a massive storm would leave us shipwrecked, I would have ran. Now I'm a girl who's seeking refuge in a decrepit lighthouse with a man who loathes me almost as much as he craves me. He wants to hurt me, but the old caretaker of the abandoned island may have intentions far more sinister." So I'm excited to give this author another try, and see what I think. I know there's like a shark aspect in here, which I love sharks, so I think I'm really going to enjoy that aspect as well. So yeah, that's the one he picked for me out of the 4 options I gave him. Then we got a purple, which is now a completely free pick this year. So I didn't have to pull a honey jar prompt. I can basically put anything in the spot, and I decided to go ahead and put the pick for my family book club, which is going to be The Butcher and the Wren by Alaina Urquhart. I'm not really entirely sure how to pronounce her name. I'm actually going to be listening to this one. Um, I thought it had pretty good reviews, and then I saw like a really, really poor review because I was thinking about getting a physical copy. And I was looking on Pango, and they have reviews sometimes, and it was not a great review. So I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go, but the author is a co-host of the Morbid podcast, which I wasn't familiar with, but my sister and my niece and my cousin all love that podcast apparently. And so they're excited for this book. And basically, you have dual point of views, and you have this serial killer who's basically kind of trying to outsmart the professionals, and then you have the medical examiner who normally is very good at their job, and is very good at finding the killers, but in this case she's struggling, and she's just kind of following the trail he leaves for her. So it's told between the 2 viewpoints, and so yeah, I'll be listening to that one. Then we pulled an orange, which is mystery, thriller, or horror. And for this one, we got 101 Dalmatians, which is found family. Because, you know, they're originally they only have 15 puppies, and they end up adopting the rest to get 101. And so I was kind of looking, and this one popped up. It's been on my shelves for years, and I really would like to read it. And it is a middle grade, so it should go fairly quickly. And that's The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. And so this one says, are you a gifted child looking for special opportunities? When this peculiar ad appears in the newspaper, dozens of children enroll to take a series of mysterious, mind-bending tests, and you, dear reader, can test your wits right alongside them. But in the end, just 4 very special children will succeed. They're challenged to go on a secret mission that only the most intelligent and resourceful children could complete. With their newfound friendships at stake, will they be able to pass the most important test of all? Welcome to the Mysterious Benedict Society. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. I also have the second book in the series, so if I like this, I will be able to continue on fairly soon, hopefully. So that was my pick for that. Then we got another 101 Dalmatians, but we pulled a red. I think this one, though, Yeah, so this one we actually crossed the bridge on this red, so that's considered a special square, which means I don't have to try to fulfill the romance prompt, though I did. And we got another 101, and this is black and white. So for this one, this is where I put The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. You can see there's a lot of white and a lot of black on the cover as well. And so this is so the Crowns of Nyaxia series is 3 sets of duologies, all within the same world. And so this is book 1 of the Shadowborn duet. So this is the second set of duologies. And I think you say your name Misha, but it says Misha lost everything when she was forcibly turned into a vampire. Her home, her humanity, and most devastating of all, the love of the sun god to whom she had devoted her life. Now sentenced to death for murdering the vampire prince who turned her, redemption feels impossible. But when Misha is saved by Asar, the bastard prince of the House of Shadow, with a past as brutal as his scars, she's forced into a mission worse than execution. A journey to the underworld to resurrect the god of death himself. Misha's punishment may be the key to her salvation. In a secret meeting, her sun god commands her to help Asar in his mission, only to betray him by killing the very death god she'll help resurrect. Misha and Asar must travel to the treacherous path to the underworld, facing trials, beasts, and vengeful ghosts of their past. Yet most dangerous of all is the alluring call of the darkness and her forbidden attraction to Asar, a burgeoning bond that risks invoking the wrath of gods. As her betrayal looms, the underworld closes in, and angry gods are growing restless. Misha will be forced to choose between the redemption of the sun or the damnation of the darkness. So everything I've read by Carissa Broadbent has been 5 stars for me, and I didn't really know anything going into this other than I just, I'm familiar with the character Misha, and I was just excited to read another Carissa Broadbent. But I think I'm really gonna love this one because of that underworld aspect. I think I'm gonna adore this one, so I'm really excited. The first set of duologies in this series I enjoyed. It was definitely 5 stars, but I definitely preferred the War of Lost Hearts trilogy to them. And so I think I'm going to enjoy this more than that first set, but we'll have to see. So that was the next one. Then we got another orange, which, again, mystery, thriller, or horror, very that heavy this month. And for this one, we got The Emperor's New Groove, and it was to be a comedy. And I was able to find something that fit for the genre as well. So I'm going to be reading To Fetch a Thief by Spencer Quinn. This is actually book 3 in the Chet and Bernie mystery. I read book 1. I have book 1. I found it at a thrift store, and I absolutely loved it. And so as I've come across them, I've been picking them up. So I don't have book 2. So I'll be reading book 3, which is the next, of course, in the series. And I don't think it's all that important to read them in order, so I'm not that worried about it. But what's fun about these ones is it's actually told from the dog's point of view, and so it's just fun, because these types of mysteries really aren't typically my thing, like cozy mysteries. Like, I just don't typically enjoy them, but because of the dog aspect, I really enjoyed the first one in the series. So it says, Chet has smelled a lot of unusual things in his years as trusted companion and partner to P.I. Bernie Little, but nothing has prepared him for the exotic scents he encounters when an old-fashioned traveling circus comes to town. Bernie scores tickets to this less-than-greatest show on Earth because his son Charlie is crazy about elephants. The only problem is that Peanut, the headlighting pachyderm of this particular one-ring circus, has gone missing, along with her trainer, Uri DeLeith. Stranger still, no one saw them leave. How does an elephant vanish without a trace? At first, there's nothing Bernie and Chet can do. It's a police matter, and they have no standing in the case. But then they're hired by Popo the Clown, who has his own reasons for wanting to find out what has become of the mysteriously missing duo. After Chet takes a few sniffs in Peanut's trailer and picks up her one-of-a-kind scent, He and Bernie are in a hot pursuit, heading far away from the bright lights of the traveling show and into the dark desert night. Some very dangerous people would prefer that Chet and Bernie disappear for good and will go to any lengths to make that happen. Across the border in Mexico and separated from Bernie, Chet must use all his natural strength and doggy smarts to try to save himself, not to mention Bernie and a decidedly uncooperative Peanut too. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. The circus element's going to be fun. And like I said, I really enjoyed the viewpoint from Chet's perspective. So that's what I'm going with. Then let's see here. We got another orange, which again, mystery, thriller, or horror. I did not go that route though because we got a bookworm and it's page number chosen by dice, and so I did the 8-sided dice that I just used to pick my character, which I was hoping wouldn't backfire on me. Unfortunately it did. I'll insert the footage here. Alright, so we just need to do our dice roll for the page count. I am going to go ahead and do the 8-sided dice. I would do a 6-sided die, but I'm hoping that it won't matter and I can just use this one. But if we get a 7 or an 8, I might roll again because I really don't want that big of a book. But we'll just see. Of course, we get an 8. There actually might be a book that will work for this. So I will check on that and try to find an 800-page book, and we'll just go from there. But as you saw, I did get an 8, so I was like, well, maybe I should re-roll with the 6-sided die, which is what I was originally going to do. But I decided to check. I had one very large book on my priority reads for the year, and it is over 800 pages, so I decided to go with it. And that's A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is 862 pages. Chunky book. But I remember I read Priory twice, and I remember the writing reads pretty fast, and you can see the font's not like terribly tiny or anything like that. Thank goodness. And with Priory, I listened to it the first time, read it physically the second time, and just tabbed it out. So I'll probably do that with this one as well. Just tab it out into smaller chunks to read each day, and I'll read this throughout the whole month while I'm reading my other books. So this is a prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree, but it's really kind of a prequel standalone, essentially. So let's see here. It says Tanuva Milam is a sister of the Priory, but 50 years. Sorry. Tanuva Milam is a sister of the Priory. For 50 years, she is trained to slay worms, but none have appeared since the Nameless One, and the younger generation is starting to question the Priory's purpose. To the north, in the Queendom of Innis, Sabran the Ambitious has married the new king of Hroth, narrowly saving both realms from ruin. Their daughter, Glorian, trails in their shadow exactly where she wants to be. The dragons of the east have slept for centuries. Dumai has spent her life in a Sikanese mountain temple, trying to wake the gods from their long slumber. Now someone from her mother's past is coming to upend her fate. When the dread mount erupts, bringing with it an age of terror and violence, these women must find the strength to protect humankind from a devastating threat. Intricate and epic, A Day of Fallen Night sweeps readers back into the world of the Priory of the Orange Tree, showing us the course of events that shaped it for generations to come. So, it sounds like it's going to be kind of similar in format to the Priory, where you kind of have the East and the West, and you're going to be going back and forth. So, I'm excited to finally get this read because I picked it up when it first came out because I knew I wanted to read it. And it's just been sitting there because it's so chunky and it is intimidating. And I don't know why I've read Priory twice, and yet I couldn't bring myself to pick this up, which is why I put it on my priority reads. So I'm very, very happy to be finally getting to this for sure. Let's see here. And Does It Hurt was also a priority read from that stack as well. So I have 2 this month that I'll be reading. Then we got, let's see here. Okay, so then we had 2 unusable discs. We pulled a yellow, which we couldn't use, and then we pulled a green, which we couldn't use, but those we'll talk about in a second. We finally then pulled a blue, which got us to the last square, which is the North Pole. And since it's the North Pole, it's a special square. Do not need to try to find a sci-fi. And for this one, we got a bookworm, and it was Zodiac Challenge. And so I'll again insert the footage here. But basically, I rolled a spinner wheel with the zodiacs, and I got Taurus. And I found a couple lists, and there were a couple options I was thinking about. Then I found a blog, and it's called The Garden of Reading. Which I think is very, very cute. I'll link that down in the description below. And it not only listed the traits of Taurus: loyal, trustworthy, sensual, and such, and it had like what book she was kind of looking for based on that. And the book I picked had the sensual aspect and kind of the in touch with the senses of taste and such aspect. And that was Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I loved the Lunar Chronicles. I was very hesitant to go into them. And then once I started reading, I ended up really, really loving them. And so when this popped up on that list, I was like, sold. That's the one I'm going to go for. And basically, it talked about this character is kind of essential. Main character is kind of sensual, and she's a baker, and she's very loves food, and that's a big component of this. And so that's why they added this to this list of Taurus. And I'll leave, like I said, the blog that I found this on down below and the list and everything like that, so you can look at it too if you're interested in why that blogger, I don't know her name, like I said, the Garden of Reading, why that blogger just said this was for a Taurus. So says Catherine may be one of the most desired girls in Wonderland and a favorite of the unmarried king, but her interests lie elsewhere. A talented baker, she wants to open a shop and create delectable pastries, but for her mother, such a goal is unthinkable for a woman who could be a queen. At a royal ball where Kath is expected to receive the king's marriage proposal, she meets handsome and mysterious Jess. For the first time, she feels the pull of true attraction. At the risk of offending the king and infuriating her parents, she and Jess enter into a secret courtship. Kath is determined to choose her own destiny, but in a land thriving with magic, madness, and monsters, fate has other plans. And so this is kind of a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. So I'm excited. I've had this for a little while as well. I picked it up. When I do Pingo orders, I try to see if the author has any other books I'm interested in, and this is one that I was getting another book, but they had this for sale, so I went ahead and picked it up. So I'm excited to finally get it read. So there's that. Then we're back to the 2 unusable discs. And so we did pull from our series jar, we pulled the Diviners series, and for that I thought about rereading the Diviners. I still remember it very well. It hasn't been that long since I read it, and since I had the 2 unusable discs, I decided to go with the second in the series, which is Lair of Dreams. This is by Libba Bray, and obviously book 2 fits the 2 unusable discs. So basically in this series you have, it's kind of 1920s, but there's also so you kind of have that jazz age vibe, but there's also kind of something sinister. She has a power where she touches an object, she gets impressions from that object of the people who are connected to it and whatnot. And in the first book there's a murder, or several murders, and her uncle is kind of has a museum of the occult and such, and so he's kind of pulled in to help with the investigation of that because they think it has something to do with the occult. And there's other characters that have different powers as well, and so they haven't really come together at the end of the first book. You're just kind of getting introduced. So I'm hoping in this one they'll all start coming together and you'll see more cohesion to the series, but we'll just have to see. I'm not going to read the synopsis since it is the second book and just in case there's any spoilers. But yeah, basically in the first book you're following mainly Evie, and she's trying to uncover, help her uncle uncover who's behind these murders. There's kind of an ancient evil rising, and then you kind of have that jazz age aspect as well. So I'm excited to continue on with this. And then let's see here. So that is all for the game itself. We also pulled from the series jar. I forgot to pull it off the shelf, but it should just be right here. Let's see here. Yeah, it is. Ugh. So the first book in the series was Walk on Earth, a Stranger by Ray Carson. This is the Gold Seer. Things are falling now. This is the Gold Seer trilogy. So I already read this one, and it's kind of really reminded me of the Oregon Trail, except in this case the characters are going to California. And basically you are following, I'm horrible with names, Lee, and she's consents gold. And she kind of gets into some trouble, and so she ends up on the run. She disguises herself as a boy, and she's trying to meet up with her best friend, and then they're basically on the Oregon Trail, and then once it splits off, they head to California. And so the second book that I need to get to is Like a River Glorious, again by Ray Carson. And I was, like I said, I was trying to read it for Buzzword last year, which the word was like, and I just never got to it. So I wasn't able to fit it on the TBR. So it is an extra book, but it was super easy to read the first book, and I have no doubt this will be super easy to read as well. So basically, they're now in California, and it's gonna be following like her troubles. Just because she's in California now doesn't mean her troubles were left behind. And so I'm really, really excited to continue this series. I've needed to for a long time, and so I will be reading that one. And then I was not able to get my Genre-a-thon book on here. Which again, Genre-a-thon is my readathon. And so for March, I went Marvelous March. The key point there is Marvel. My husband and I have been rewatching, well, I'm watching them for the first time. He's rewatching several of them, the Marvel movies. And so I thought it would be fun. And so it's to read either a comic, graphic novel, or a manga, just kind of in that theme. And so for this one, this is a Webtoons comic, and that is Olympus Volume 1 by Rachel Smythe, is the one I'm going to be going with. It's absolutely beautiful illustrations. There's, I love the different colors here. And this one's pretty popular, actually, and because I'm not a big graphic novel / comic reader, even manga, I'm barely dipping my toe in there. I was interested in this one, but I didn't really want to seek it out per se. I came across this very, very recently, like just a few days ago at a thrift store, and I was like, perfect. I paid like $1.47 for it. So, and it's in really good shape. So, this is what I'm going to be picking for my Genre-a-thon. And basically it says, here we go. Scandalous gossip, wild parties, and forbidden love. Witness what the gods do after dark in the stylish and contemporary reimagining of one of mythology's best-known stories from creator Rachel Smythe. Persephone, young goddess of spring, is new to Olympus. Her mother Demeter has raised her in the mortal realm, but after Persephone promised to train as a sacred virgin, she's allowed to live in the fast-moving, glamorous world of the gods. When her roommate Artemis takes her to a party, her entire life changes. She ends up meeting Hades and feels an immediate spark with the charming yet misunderstood ruler of the underworld. Now, Persephone must navigate the confusing politics and relationships that rule Olympus, while also figuring out her own place and her own power. So, I'm really, really excited to finally give this a go. I hope I enjoy it, and if I do, then I will obviously seek out the rest of the series. But yeah, found this at a thrift store for a really, really great price. I'm very, very happy with that. So this is the stack. I'm gonna try to hold it up, but there's some hefty books here, so we'll just have to see. And I have a dog. So this is the stack. You can't even get all of it in here. That's my stack of books I need to read in March. Sorry, Freezy. Stay. So that's what I'll be reading in March. I'm pretty happy. Like, yes, there's some hefty books on here, but there's also several that will read fairly fast. So I'm actually pretty happy with my March choices. Again, I've gotten two off my priority list, including one of the longest one. I'm going to be continuing two series that I've been wanting to continue, so I'm really, really excited about that as well. And I think it's going to be a good month. I would love to know if you've read any of these books, if you're interested in reading any of these books, or what a book you are excited about reading that's coming up for you. I would love to know that in the comments down below. If you don't know what to say, or you just want to let me know you're here to support the channel, you can always leave a rabbit or any type of animal emoji down in the comments below. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.